The EU recognises that the bioeconomy has the potential to help Europe develop a circular economy in a sustainable and competitive way. And the bio-based industries can make a key contribution. What progress has Europe made so far in capitalising on that? And what's still left to do? I'm joined today by a former director of the European Commission's DG Research and Innovation, Dr. Christian Patermann, known as one of the founding fathers of the bioeconomy. Welcome, Christian.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here with you.
So from industrial biotechnology through to European technology platforms and now November's bioeconomy strategy, the policies in Europe have really progressed and developed so far. Can you tell us what you think some of the key milestones have been?
I think it started around, I would say around 22 years ago. And I would say there are event milestones, but there are also structural milestones, content milestones, and a kind of accountability, political accountability factors which you can qualify as such a milestone. If I may start with the events, I think the really leading event was in 2005 in September, October, when the Knowledge-Based Bioeconomy Initiative was for the first time ever published by the European Commission as a research initiative to be included in the 7th Framework Programme. And this all of a sudden, wake up a lot of people all around the world. It was quite interesting to see that in particular countries in Latin America, but also in Asia and Africa, were very much interested in that. And that in the beginning, when this initiative was proclaimed in this conference in September, October 2005, you had representatives from all these different continents. And that was only possible because we were living at that time in circumstances which were favoring very much the use of biological resources plus the knowledge which was around and which had brought us a lot of deeper understanding on what life is, etc. And without that, and without the technology platforms you mentioned just, for industrial biotechnology, plants for the future, food, etc., this zeitgeist would not have been so influential to shape the beginning of the knowledge-based bioeconomy. And that was the first big milestone. In addition, one should not forget that just 3 years before, the European Commission had for the first time ever approved a biotechnology and life science strategy of Europe. That was an absolute novelty. Please take that into account. So the fact that we had a zeitgeist favoring bio, plus also a bio strategy by Europe, and also the awakening interest of industry in the platform, then led to this initiative of the knowledge-based bioeconomy in this conference, which then found another very important step 5 years later, in 2012. In 2012, for the first time ever, again in Europe, a bioeconomy strategy, not just a research institution or initiative, but a really true economy initiative, a political economy initiative was taken up by the approval of the first bioeconomy strategy ever in the whole world by the Commission. And in the follow-up, the foundation of what was at that time BBI, today's CBE and BIC, the so-called implementation tool of how to bring the idea of a knowledge-based bioeconomy into products, services, and also other ideas in order to have them done, have them been performed on industrial scale. Because one thing was also clear, if you just do it and use biological resources as such, that doesn't help you. It will not only fly if it is done by industrial scale. And that's not for nothing, that's called economy and not ecology or just initiative. And then 2018, the first adaptation of that. And then just a few months ago, we had the second update of this bioeconomy strategy, which I regard a very important milestone because it was also absorbing the fact that just a year ago, a year before, for the first time ever again, the G20 had approved 10 high-level principles on the sustainable bioeconomy, which made the bioeconomy not just something the Europeans had invented and practiced, but which now was part of a global technology, knowledge, and also ecological heritage.
Thank you. Looking at the current geopolitical situation, a lot of challenging things are happening. What role do you think the bio-based industries can play in helping Europe to sort of navigate its way through this situation?
If we like it or not, we are in the middle of a rather dramatic paradigm change. Maybe we don't know it yet, but it's very much to be felt. At the beginning, the idea of the bioeconomy was, well, we know a lot about biological resources. We know about how life is. We can use it. We can also do it much better than with fossils. We can substitute fossils with that. We can also give a big push to agriculture. We can give a big push to new food and feed, etc. And then also planetary boundaries to be respected. A very important tool for reducing emissions, for helping in mitigation, adaptation, climate change, etc. And this is now, I wouldn't say being changed, but it's being added by a very, very important development, and that's resilience. We note that Europe must be more sovereign, must be more independent, must be more resilient against many, many obstacles and influences from abroad with respect to its resources, energy, but also to value chains, which are very critical, be critical raw material or other critical substances. And in this respect, I think the bioeconomy, because it so much focuses on indigenous, on domestic resources, is an enormous factor in this new idea and acknowledgement that we have to be more resilient, that we have to look more on our garden and more on our next door than what is happening across the nations and across the oceans. And in this respect, I see there a very important paradigm change in the geopolitical factors of the bioeconomy. A way not giving up, but added to ecological, added to planetary, added to grand challenges, and then we're really bringing into it now a very simple acknowledgement that we have to do a lot of resources at home we can use now, and we should do that.
Christian, you were there from the start, so you know a lot about the genesis of BBI JU, now CBE JU. We BIC represent the private sector in that. What can you tell us about your feelings of how important it is and looking towards the future?
In order to give you a good answer for that, I think it is useful to say what is the bioeconomy and what are the USPs, the unique selling points of this economy model in comparison with others. The bioeconomy is the most research-intensive, technology-based, value-based, and also dynamic economy model we have. And if you take all these factors together, you will find there a very important public element. Research, technology, grand challenges, society, etc., always has an impact from the public side. On the other hand, you can't really make biological resources into a product without industry. You can't do it if it's not done on an industrial scale. You can't do it if it's not efficient and economic, etc. So, having said that, the bioeconomy is the model for practicing the so-called public-private partnership. Because, it is such a mixture of different aspects, and also with respect to the value chains, combining the interests of so many different actors and stakeholders. We talk already about unusual alliances that people in a brewery have never contacted before, people who are doing some ingredients for feed or food or some medication, etc. So all these things together make the bioeconomy the object to be practiced, the model of the public-private partnership. That is the first very important, if I may say so, inherent aspect. The second one is we have clearly to say that, since the last 20 years, or for the last 20 years, just climbing up the TRL, the technology readiness level, is, the bioeconomy has reached a certain technological and economic maturity. It's no more just a lab, it's no more just a demo, it now really calls for being really scaled up and commercially used. And that means you need more money for it. And it's no doubt about that, because the commercial aspect will be overriding, that this is asking for private investments much more than before. So the private part, the industry part, is getting a stronger momentum by the mere development of the bioeconomy. And a third point, very interesting and important as well, we had, when we started with it 20 years ago, a kind of competition already between digitalization, nanotechnologies, cognitive sciences, etc. They were fighting for funds. This competition is even sharper today because of AI and because of the pandemic impact on health interest and health aspects all over the world. So you need also to broaden the funding sources, and that you can't only do by private, by state money or by public money. You need to add there, you need there to mobilize private funds. So these three aspects, that the bioeconomy per se, by its mixture and balanced and enabling character, plus the maturity in technologies and research, which has reached now on the economic scale, and the fact that the competition with other application fields is sharper, brings me to the fact that the bioeconomy needs a wonderful continuation of what we have in the joint enterprises, in the joint endeavors with the BBI and the CBE and the BIC. This has been a tremendous success story, and Europe should not forget that and should even do much more for publicity, that it has really cultivated this model to be a success. Many people around and outside Europe are envying us that we have this institution of the BBI and the CBE and the BIC, and trying to copy that. I always tell them, don't copy, but cope with that. That will be enough.
Thank you, Christian. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, I think it is really quite interesting to see that this idea of the PPP has not yet reached the minds of many important decision makers. And they have not understand that we are really in a tremendous change of mindsets, but also circumstances, that the money we will need will not just be brought up by the state. We need to tap the enormous funds and resources which are there in the world. And it's a question of finding the right persons, the right moment, and the right amount of money for the right idea. And in this respect, I could only urge that this story and success story of the joint endeavors of the public-private partnerships, in particular with the bioeconomy, is being strongly not only continued but also made known to decision makers and to the general public.
Thank you very much, Christian.